You have had a mistress, I forgave you. Helen has a lover, you drive her from the house.
Cases aren't different.
In what way different? You have betrayed Mrs. Wilcox, Helen only herself. You remain in society, she can't. You have had only pleasure, she may die. You were lonely. You were lonely. You have the insolence to talk to me about differences, Henry.
Kenny, this novel is such a classic, and I imagine quite a daunting prospect to take on. Can you introduce us to what was your interest in doing this, and how did it come to you?
Yeah, I'd seen the film, which I quite liked, and I had tried to read the novel when I was younger and failed. And then I read it again because I'd been offered the job, and I was very intrigued, and I had some questions about it and some objections to it, which they really liked. And they said, since you have these objections, we would like you really to write the script, which was a little strange. They flattered me into doing it, and then they said, we love you, and I said, great, I'll do it.
So what were these agreeable objections then? What were you worried about?
Well, it's such a brilliant novel, but I was a bit concerned about the reality between between the two romantic relationships, really. Although once I started working on it, I felt like there was really, the basis of them was actually quite much stronger than I had thought. But I just thought Margaret's relationship with Henry was a bit hard to believe, and Helen's relationship with Mr. Bast was a bit hard to believe. But when I was trying to make them more believable, it was pretty easy to find material in the novel to kind of bring up a bit.
And Hayley, Margaret Schlegel is kind of the part I imagine every actress would want to play. How quickly did you say yes to this project?
Well, yeah, as soon as I heard that Kenny had adapted it. Sorry, Kenny, I don't mean to embarrass you. But yeah, exactly for the same reason Kenny was mentioning, of just having someone who, seeing it objectively as a modern day American, being able to not give too much reverence, making the script very playable, very active. It's not full of exposition. It's nuanced, and it's material that as actors you get the chance to almost follow like a musical score. I remember we had the director Hetty at one point saying, Kenny's written a comma there, let's honor that. And I loved the specificity of it. And so you'd have also scenes where there'd be multiple characters in one scene, and it would almost be written in columns of slash marks of interruptions. And once it was like kind of an orchestra. You have the violin going on there, and then the saxophone doing something cool over there. And when we did it technically, it actually sounded like people who know each other very well finishing each other's sentences and being very naturalistic. So for me, it came off the page as a very active and alive piece of work, with the backdrop just being a period drama.
Well, and we all know, of course, the Merchant Ivory film. How much does that loom large in your minds as you're doing this? Is it something that you're able to kind of separate yourselves from in an easy way, or do you even consider it?
I didn't think about it too much because the format is so different. There's so much you can. Also, you can't redo that film because it's so good. So it felt pretty easy to take a fresh approach, given the fact that it had 4 hours to tell the story in.
There's an essay Lionel Trilling does about Howard's End, essayist who was a kind of an E.M. Forster scholar, and had said Ruth Wilcox's presence throughout the book, he would say arguably was the most important character because of how she haunts it, and she sets up what is kind of the main sense of place and identity and home, it being Howard's End. So although you see Julia at the beginning, there is a sense really with what she carries, that she carries the weight of the emotional weight of the heart of the piece, although you don't see her as much as we'd all like to.